Every spring, a handful of Belgian farmers crawl through their fields on their hands and knees to harvest a vegetable that sells for €1,000 a kilo, about $500 a pound. More than lobster, more than caviar by weight. They have roughly 18 days a year to do it, and by the next morning, what they picked is worthless. Here's the strange part. That plant is probably growing in a garden near you right now, and the people who own it are throwing that exact part in the bin. We'll come back to them, because they're only one of 6 plants on this list, and every single one of them is doing something the person who owns it doesn't know about. Here's the problem. We grow food horizontally. Rows, beds, everything at ankle height dug and weeded and restarted from scratch every spring. Meanwhile, every garden already owns a second surface. It costs nothing, and it grows almost no food. Your fence, your wall, the side of the shed. We decided that was the edge of the garden instead of part of it. Traditional food cultures never made that mistake. They planted it with vines that come back on their own. One planting, decades of food. So let's follow one fence through 1 year, and it starts in the month when nothing should be growing at all. February. There's an old English term for this part of the year. The hungry gap. Store is gone, fields empty, nothing is ready. And imagine a vegetable that produces right then. Hablitzia, Caucasian spinach, off the mountains between the Black Sea and the Caspian. Scandinavian gardeners have been quietly hoarding it for over a century, trading the seed like contraband. Outside those circles, essentially nobody has heard the word. Because while every bed on your street is still frozen mud, this thing is already climbing. Shoots first, then heart-shaped leaves you pick straight up a 3-meter stem. It tastes like good spinach with the bitterness removed. It handles shade that would kill most vegetables, gets bigger every year for decades, and hands you fresh greens in the exact window that used to starve people. Next is March. In March we have a hops. Yes, you're right. The beer plant. Everybody wants the flower, but weeks before that, the crown underground pushes out pale, tender spears like skinny asparagus. Those are hop shoots. In Belgium, they're called white gold, and by price, the most expensive vegetable on the planet. Why so much? Every part of the process fights with you. Harvested by hand in a window of about 18 days, picked below the soil line while still pale, which means crawling and digging by feel. They bruise instantly and won't survive a night in transit. So chefs pay €1,000 a kilo, sometimes double that. Meanwhile, the brewing industry, sitting on more hop plants than anyone alive, throws them out every single spring because it only wants the cones. Technically, hops isn't even a vine, it's a bine. Climbing by, wrapping its stem around a support, 6 meters in one season, and the crown underneath is close to immortal. 50-year-old hop roots are still throwing shoots every March. So you can buy the world's most expensive vegetable at $500 a pound, or plant it once for the price of a takeaway and eat it every spring for the rest of your life. Now, the next vine a lot of you already own, and half of it is going in your compost. Grapes. In Maribor, Slovenia, a grapevine on the wall of a building has been dated at over 400 years old. It fruited through the 30 Years' War, survived Napoleon, both world wars, and it still produces, bottled every year in tiny numbers as a diplomatic gift. 4 centuries. 1 planting. Nothing else you can put in soil comes close. But here's what got lost in translation somewhere. Grape leaves are food. Turkey, Greece, the Balkans, Lebanon, Armenia, Egypt, Iran, Central Asia. Young leaves picked in early summer. Blanched, rolled around rice and herbs. They are ingredients of dolma, sarma, waraq inab, one of the most widespread dishes on earth, built entirely from the part most Western gardeners throw away. So a grapevine is 3 crops. Leaves in early summer, fruit in autumn, and dense shade over your table through the heat. Most people take 1. By the time those grapes are coloring up, something else on this fence is ready. It tastes better than anything in your supermarket, which raises a fairly obvious question. Why can't you buy it? Hardy kiwi. Forget the fuzzy thing. No fur, no peeling, no knife. Size of a large grape, smooth-skinned, eaten whole by the handful like sweets. Sweeter than commercial kiwi and more aromatic. Left to ripen on the vine, they hit 18 to 25% sugar, which is grape territory, with more vitamin C per gram than an orange. And the yield is where it gets silly. Penn State puts a single mature vine at 50 to 100 pounds of fruit a year. 1 plant. Growers get warned to build serious structures because a loaded vine can top 200 pounds and pull a flimsy trellis down. So why is this not in every shop on Earth? because it bruises in days and ripens faster than that. It cannot survive a container ship, a distribution center, and a week on a shelf. We never chose the better kiwi. We chose the tougher one. Most varieties need a male plant nearby, or you get flowers and nothing else forever. The one male will pollinate up to 8 females. Once it's running, a hardy kiwi will keep going 30 or 40 years. Now the leaves come down and the fence looks finished for the year. It isn't. There's one more harvest and it's under your feet. American groundnut, a native North American vine growing chains of tubers underground like beads on a string. Around 17% protein, roughly 3 times a potato, tasting closer to roasted chestnut. Indigenous nations across eastern North America ate this as a staple, not famine food. And when the Plymouth settlers were starving through their first winters, this is one of the plants they were shown how to dig. A vine that helped keep the European settlement of North America alive, and today nobody behind the counter at a garden center knows the name. Thoreau knew it. He wrote about the groundnut in Walden as a nearly forgotten native food, wondering whether it might rise again if the imported crops that replaced it ever failed. The plant database at Plants for a Future rates around 7,000 species. American groundnut ranks 4th, out of 7,000. Breeding work at Louisiana State pushed selected strains to around 50 tubers and 8 pounds from one plant. And because it's a legume, it pulls nitrogen from the air and feeds your soil while it grows. So that's the year on the fence, except one vine refuses to fit on a calendar because it never really stops. Chayote. In the highlands of Mexico and Guatemala, an established chayote isn't a vegetable, it's part of the building. It swallows whatever you give it to climb until you can genuinely ask whether the trellis holds up the vine or the vine holds up the trellis. And it feeds you 4 ways: shoot tips cooked like asparagus, the flowers, the fruit 100 or more in a season, then underneath a root swelling into a starchy tuber you dig and cook like potatoes. Planting one is genuinely strange too. You take a whole fruit, half bury it, and let it sprout, because the seed inside has usually already started germinating while it hung on the vine. In frost-free climates, it keeps going off the same root, sometimes longer than the person who planted it. And the reason almost nobody grows this way isn't a conspiracy, it's arithmetic. A perennial vine is a terrible product. You buy it once and it feeds you for 30 years. An annual has to be bought again every spring, forever, by everyone. Guess which one got the advertising budget? Which brings us back to those Belgian farmers on their hands and knees digging out white gold at 1,000 euros a kilo, while somewhere down the road a brewery throws the same thing on a heap. Nothing here is rare. Nothing here is difficult. We just stopped being told which parts were food. The fence outside your window is either empty space or a food system. So tell me, which one are you actually planting first? And be honest, is there something already on your fence you have never once eaten? Drop it in the comments. And if you know a climbing food plant I missed, especially from your part of the world, name it below. I'm building the next one out of your answers.